And now, RSM, the Ram Sports Magazine Show.
Welcome to RSM, Ram Sports Magazine Show. I'm your host, Anthony Keith. The NCAA basketball tournament has come to an end. The champion's been crowned. Now all the focus is on the spring sports. The track team had their annual Fun McGraw meet here at CSU over the weekend, so I'm going to touch on that a little later on the show. Now the football team continues spring practice. There's been some low points, some high points. I'm going to start things off on this show, checking in with the football team in spring practice. The first big news to come out of the 7th spring practice: in fall, practices will be held in the afternoon rather than the morning.
No, I like the afternoon practices because, like, in the morning it's just a busy schedule, like with class and stuff, so I like the afternoon better.
You know, I prefer the afternoons because everyone's awake, you know, classes are over, and all you have to look forward to is just football, so.
Spring practice can be a great look into the future for the upcoming season. And alongside a returning quarterback, head coach Steve Fairchild has plenty of confidence in the O-line.
You know, I said it all along, I think 2 years ago we probably had one of the better offensive lines in the country. I think this one can be as good or better than that line. You know, obviously we had some breaking in, growing pains to do last year, but they came on, and you know, we're not there by any stretch of the imagination, but this is going to be a good offensive line. You know, that lines like quarterback, it's a hard thing to develop. I think you've got, obviously good football programs develop, you know, those areas, and there's a lot of expertise to it and so forth. But I do think we've got some, you know, good young offensive linemen that are going to be very good players around here. So if you notice, we're you know, in the fall usually you got two segment team segments. Now we're going threes. You know, we're getting a lot of guys in there, and hopefully that's going to pay off.
One young player that has taken on a leadership role for the offensive line is sophomore Weston Richburg, a first-team freshman All-America center and a lineman that received honorable mention All Mountain West Conference honors, is stepping up into a leadership role at a very young age.
Well, you know, last fall, whether it's practice or games, whenever we put him in there, he's a playmaker. I mean, he makes things happen, and you know, a very, very talented young man. Now he's in a starting role, and I'm hoping he's as good as I think he is, because I think he's going to be a very good linebacker for us.
On the other side of the ball, Mike Kowalik was a valuable backup linebacker last season that suffered a knee injury his sophomore year. That injury came back to haunt him this spring.
He's done for spring, yeah. And it appears to be very serious. It does appear to be serious.
Fairchild mentioned that they would take another look at his knee at the end of April. With several others out with minor injuries in the secondary, senior Ivory Hurd has a lot on his plate this spring.
I'm pretty much the only one back in the secondary who's coming back with experience as a safety, so I have to kind of take it upon myself to teach other guys to bring them up so they can learn just as much as I have. So
last Thursday practice for everybody, it was just kind of a little lackadaisical. After Saturday's practice, today's practice, did you guys kind of kick it up a notch? It seemed like it out there.
Yeah, you know, we have to come out every day to win every play and every period that we have. You know, we need to continue to get better, and I felt like we got better today.
Middle of spring practice, you're getting closer and closer to that spring game. How excited are you for it?
I'm really excited. You know, being a senior, you know, we haven't really had like a true spring game, and I feel like this year is going to be a great one.
Is that kind of hitting you in spring that, you know, this is your senior year?
Yeah, it has. You know, like coming off of winter workouts and stuff, and knowing that this is going to be my last season, it's kind of like starting to take a toll. It's like, wow, you know, I got to get my stuff together, make sure I'm right, so.
It may only be spring practice, but the realization that the upcoming season will be Hurd's last as a Ram has already hit him.
You know, like coming off of winter workouts and stuff, and knowing that this is going to be my last season, it's kind of like starting to take a toll. It's like, wow, you know, I got to get my stuff together, make sure I'm right, so.
Hurd and the rest of the team look forward to this Saturday's practice, which will start at 9 a.m. and be their first of 3 major scrimmages in the spring. The practice is open to the public and will be held at Sonny Lubick Field at Hughes Stadium. Another player many fans are excited to see, sophomore linebacker Mike Arakpo.
Last fall, whether it's practice or games, whenever we put him in there, he's a playmaker. I mean, he makes things happen, and you know, a very, very talented young man. Now he's in a starting role, and I'm hoping he's as good as I think he is, because I think he's going to be a very good linebacker for us.
Coming up after the break, I jump back to spring practice number 5 and check in with the wide receivers. Stay tuned, Rams fans.
You're watching RSM, the Ram Sports Magazine Show on Northern Colorado 5.
Welcome back to the show. Last Thursday, football spring practice, it was a windy one. The receivers struggled, so I checked in with the receiving team and how they felt after a rough practice. Wind is not a wide receiver's best friend. And at the 5th spring practice for the Rams football team, there was plenty to go around.
A little wind blowing, a little cold, and when you got to get mentally tough and step up and play when things get tough, but we didn't do it. So, good lesson for them.
Yeah, we had a pretty rough day, but I mean, everybody does. I mean, if you watch NFL, arena football, everybody gonna have their days that's rough. But today was ours. I mean, tomorrow we come back, we live to play another day. So
rough practices are expected, but Coach Dan Hammerschmidt believes it's a mental hurdle his receivers need to overcome.
I'm not 20 years old anymore. I wish I was, but I've seen a few spring practices. You know, it gets now when it gets into practice 5, 6, 7. When guys start getting all tired, you know, the tests are coming. You know, you got to reach down. You got to be mentally tough. So that's our biggest goal.
Sophomore Tony Drake is no stranger to the wide receiver position after he shifted from the running back spot last season before the UNLV victory. Spring ball last year, you were part of the running back core. You think they miss you right now?
I think they're doing a good job. I don't think they miss me, but I feel like as of the running backs, I feel like they have a good core, and I feel like I'm at the right spot.
Senior Matt Yem has some big shoes to fill after Tyson Liggett led the team last season with 41 receptions totaling 380 yards.
I got guys calling me at night and asking what route they have on this, and other guys, you know, just asking this. And I think being here for 5 years, you know, they recognize that and they can see that, you know, I know what I'm doing, kind of a thing. And it's been nice to be able to help them out and knowing that I was in their shoes at one point.
Fairchild mentioned that it seemed a little lazy out there today, not as fired up as normal. What do you think that attributes to?
Leadership and guys step. You know, get. It's just a big group of guys that came out and started a little sluggish and nobody picked it up. So that, you know, that's things we got to learn how to do. That's not about the X's and O's. It's about playing hard and hitting people and having fun and flying around. You run 2 plays and 2 defenses and win 10 games.
Now losing Liggett, you've got this younger core, Yem, really Greenwood. Who's stepping up into that leadership role?
Yem does a nice job. Matt does it. You know, TJ Borky's been hurt the whole time, but when he gets back healthy, he does a decent job. You know, Lou's been playing really good until this morning. You know, he had a tough one this morning, but Lou Greenwood's been playing really good. You know, we've got some guys in there that can. Marquise Law, when he gets back healthy. Too many guys in red jerseys right now, but that's, you know, when they get back, hopefully we'll pick it up. All right, Matt, now Coach Hammerschmidt mentioned, you know, it was a pretty rough day for the receivers out there. What can you attribute that to?
You know, I don't know. There's really no excuse for the kind of practice we had out there today. And, you know, you can kind of attribute stuff to wind and earliness, but really that's no excuse. We got to go out there every day and make plays and, you know, just fly around and give a little bit more effort, know where you got to be, know what you got to do, and then just go out and make the play.
Definitely. I was asking Lou, which do you prefer, nice, warm, sunny day with the wind or freezing cold day, dead wind as a receiver?
It's a real toss-up, but I have to flip a coin for that one, and I'd probably take the warmer weather with the wind. And I mean, it's hard, but you got to, you know, you learn how to adjust. We practice so hard all off season, all year, and that's all we do is catch balls and balls and balls and everything. And so you just gotta be ready to go out there. And if it's warmer, a little bit, your muscles are doing a little bit better. You can run a little bit longer, so that's better. But
it's with Colorado, this weather is tricky. But I mean, the wind kind of messed us over today. But I don't know. I'd rather it be no wind, sunny. Sunny, no wind. That's how I like it.
Mind of a receiver right there. What's the mentality this spring? Are you guys pretty pumped? Is it different than last spring?
Yeah, we're really pumped and we're ready to go. I think it's just a mind thing and just a team thing of getting everything together and just getting ready to go.
While the receivers hope for less wind as spring practice continues, each day that goes by brings the Rams one day closer to their season opener against New Mexico. Coming up next after the break, I check in with the head coach of the track team, Brian Bedard. Stay tuned.
You are watching RSM, the Rams Sports Magazine Show on Northern Colorado 5.
Welcome back to the show, Rams fans. This week, I'm joined by head track coach Brian Bedard. Now, Coach, how promising is this 2011 season looking so far?
Well, we're really young. We went through some frustrations in the indoor season. with some very young athletes in our program. On the women's side, it's definitely the youngest team we've ever had in my 22 years we've been here. So we're facing some challenges of just being mentally prepared to compete at this level, physically prepared to compete, and just dealing with some confidence issues. And they're getting better and better as the season wears on. In the outdoor season, I think we're a better team, but we had some struggles in the indoor season.
Hitting on that indoor season, how much can you tell about the outdoor season from the indoor season? Is it just black and white, or is it a big difference?
Well, we know that we have talent. We saw definitely some indications of that in the indoor season, but a lot of it was just some inconsistencies from some of our younger athletes and making some mistakes competition-wise, and they've settled in a little bit. I think our coaching staff has really addressed some of the issues in the indoor season, and I really like the last couple of meets we've had in the outdoor season, and the Fun McGraw Triangular was a real good indication of kind of where we're at and how we're growing, and a lot of personal records were set at the meet. We had great weather, so that helped out a lot. Attitudes were great. The athletes supported each other really well. There's a real good team chemistry that's growing, so we'd like to see that continue for the rest of the season.
Team chemistry, such a young team. What's the mentality with the coaching staff, with yourself, with the whole atmosphere of the team this season?
Well, we're trying not to be overly critical. We're trying to be positive and stay upbeat as a staff, knowing that it's a young class, but we do have high expectations. So there's, we're trying to push them along and get them better in a hurry, but keep our expectations managed. That we do know they're young and they're going to make some mistakes and everything, and help them grow through that process and learn from mistakes and get better, so they don't make the same mistakes again.
Definitely. That Fun McGraw meet, how much of an advantage does it give the team not having to travel and having the home crowd? There's a good crowd there on Saturday.
Yeah, we had a good turnout, and that's one thing I've talked to the UNC coaches and Wyoming coaches about, having some smaller meets, triangulars or dual meets. They have a little tighter format so we can get done in 3 or 4 hours and not have it last all day and be some marathon for everybody. And I think everybody appreciated that. The meet did run smoothly, and it went in a fairly tight format, like I said, so I think the crowd appreciated that too, and not have to be at a meet for 10 hours. So that's kind of how we had it set up, and when you show up and the weather's great and the officials are fired up to be there because there's good weather and the athletes are have great attitudes, some good things happen.
Definitely, you guys swept that meet. And what's the rivalry like between Wyoming, between UNC, and then who do you consider your biggest rival?
Well, we always want to beat any of the regional schools that we see. We have good friendships with the coaching staffs, and a lot of our athletes on our teams are friends with different schools in the region because they see each other so much. But you do want to beat other schools. I mean, CU, anytime we go against CU, we obviously want to beat them. And Wyoming, interconference rival, we definitely want to beat Wyoming. Air Force, they kind of have a little bit of an attitude, and they like to get after us pretty good too, so we definitely want to beat the cadets at the Air Force Academy. But it's typically a friendly rivalry, but all the staffs are very competitive and they want to win, so it makes for a fun environment. I
bet. This season, aside from the youth, what's been your biggest challenge, or excuse the pun, the biggest hurdle you guys have had to overcome?
Well, the youth is the big side of it, and not having as many, a big enough senior class to really support a leadership role there. So we've had to grow some people up in a hurry and become more team leaders for us, whether they're ready to be or not. That's kind of what we're lacking on this team right now, and trying to develop that through different ways in our coaching to get the leadership going and get everybody on board with what we're trying to do here. And we're getting to that point where I see it now, but it's taken some time.
Have there been any surprises this season? Any individuals that have really stood out?
Trevor Brown, we knew he was outstanding, out of high school. He was one of the top high school hurlers in the country, and he's you always wonder when they make the transition from the high school hurdles to the higher college heights, how well are they going to transition to that. And he's done a great job of moving to the college highs and being very successful there. Seth Butler, Ohio state champion in the 800 meter. We knew he was the real deal coming in, and he's proved that out. And then he's even impressed Coach Berryhill, which it's hard to impress Brian. But Seth's work ethic and his attitude out on the track is just well beyond being a freshman. I mean, he's really confident, very competitive, shows some really good leadership potential for us, and to have that as a freshman is really valuable to our team.
There's still plenty more to come on RSM. Stay tuned.
You're watching RSM, the Rams Sports Magazine Show on Northern Colorado 5.
Welcome back to RSM. I continue my interview with the head coach of the track team, Brian Bedard. Looking ahead, again, this season, you guys get to host the Mountain West Conference Championship. What does that mean to you guys as a school?
It means we're going to be really busy as a coaching staff. It presents some challenges for us to get the facility ready and officials ready and all that. And our administration has really stepped up and helped us make some improvements on our facility and get it ready to go so it's championship ready. But it's a lot of hard work, but it's a pleasure to host the meet. And I think Fort Collins is a great place to have the meet. We saw a little triangular meet up there. It was well attended, and I guarantee you for the conference meet, you know, the stands will be full and there'll be a great atmosphere up there. And you know, it's something we always look forward to is hosting because it's very memorable. I mean, it's a lot of work, but it is an advantage to our athletes to compete on their home facility. There's definitely a comfort level and a confidence to competing on your own track, and we really look forward to that.
And definitely the altitude. How much does that play a role in each individual meet, and now you get to host the Mountain West Conference?
Well, definitely for our middle distance runners, I think it gives us a potential advantage over lower elevation athletes. When we're competing in the 800 on up, our athletes are used to it. They know how to compete at that level. When you're coming from sea level and have to come up and race at 5,000 feet, it's tough. It's tough. And you know, you can ask different coaches, and they either downplay it or upplay it, depending on you know, if it's an advantage for them or not. But I do think it helps. The fact that, but we're in a conference where other schools are training at, you know, 4,000 or 5,000 feet too, or even 7,000 feet up at Wyoming or the Air Force Academy. So some of that's kind of a wash because there are several schools that train at elevation. So
definitely, you've got one of the richest experiences here at CSU, dating back to the '80s as a coach. Now, is there anything huge, any difference this season than in the past?
Just the youth of our team, I think. Our staff's extremely excited about the potential of this team, and scared to death on whether that's going to, you know, come out. And that's your challenge as a coach, is to recruit kids that we think have a big upside and they have all that potential and everything, and then to get it out of them and to make that transition from being a quality high school athlete to a Division I level competitor. It's a big jump, and I've talked to parents and recruits about it. Some athletes make that jump really well, and we've had blue chip athletes come in here we think are just going to tear it up, and they turn up having a really hard time making that adjustment, getting beat, getting challenged, and they really struggle. And we've had some other athletes from some small schools, little 2A high schools out in, you know, eastern Colorado, and they don't have facilities. They may not even have coaches in certain event areas, and they end up getting in a position here where they have good facilities and they get good coaching and they get exposed to a higher level competition, and they just thrive on it and they take off. And those are the fun stories, you know, to share with some of the recruits about the potential out there, and who's been successful here and where they came from and how they got there, and that's the exciting stuff. But you know, the frustrating side of it is we have kids that come in that we think they're going to do really well, and they really struggle with that transition. So
that can't be too much fun.
And it's hard to tell that in recruiting. It really is.
Now, one last thing, Coach. The young team, how bright is the future of the track team?
Well, again, with the crew we have, by and large, great attitudes, working extremely hard. We do see the talent there. We see inconsistencies in training or inconsistencies in competition, some mental issues with competing and learning to relax and learning what it takes to be focused in competition. But those are all things that can be taught and learned, and we've just seen a lot of progress from the indoor season, and we're going to be a lot better outdoor team. We have certain event areas where I think we're going to be really strong, that I think we're going to shine in the outdoor track season, and I think we're going to be very good.
I love hearing that. Well, Coach, I want to wish you the best of luck for the remainder of the season. Still plenty of track action going on, but that'll do it this week for RSM. We'll catch you next week.